Hey everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we're re-diving into a topic that's often misunderstood and surrounded by a lot of stigma: narcissistic personality disorder, or NPD. We're going to explore a side of this conversation that doesn't get enough attention: the potential for growth and positive change. Can someone with NPD actually change their patterns? Let's get into it. First, it's crucial to understand what we're talking about. NPD is a complex mental health condition, not just a label for someone who is selfish or arrogant. It's characterized by a deep-seated need for admiration, a lack of empathy for others, and an inflated sense of self-importance. These behaviors are often coping mechanisms, a sort of armor built around a very fragile sense of self. Think of it like a fortress built to protect a very vulnerable inner core. This fortress can be so rigid that it makes genuine connection incredibly difficult, both for the person with NPD and for those around them. The common belief is that people with NPD are incapable of change. And while the road is incredibly challenging, it's not impossible. The first and most significant hurdle is awareness. A person has to recognize that their behaviors are causing problems, not just for others, but for themselves. This is often the hardest step. It might be triggered by a major life crisis, like the loss of a key relationship, a career setback, or an ultimatum from family. It's that moment where the usual defenses aren't working anymore, and the pain underneath starts to surface. Desister, crack in the armor where the light can start to get in. Once awareness is there, the real work begins. And a huge part of that work is learning to see others as they are, not just as extensions of oneself. A key sign of progress is a decrease in manipulation. In the past, someone with NPD might have used tactics like guilt-tripping, gaslighting, or playing the victim to get their needs met. As they start to heal, they begin to learn that they can ask for what they need directly, without resorting to these destructive patterns. They start to understand that healthy relationships are built on trust and mutual respect, not control. This brings us to a huge indicator of change: healthier relationships. This applies to both romantic partnerships and family dynamics. For someone with NPD, relationships have often been transactional. They might have sought partners who constantly admired them, or children who served as reflections of their own perceived greatness. Real change means starting to value people for who they are, with their own thoughts, feelings, and needs. Means learning to listen, to truly hear someone else's perspective without immediately getting defensive. It's about shifting from "what can you do for me" to "how can we support each other." You might see them start to take accountability for their mistakes. This is a monumental shift. Before, any mistake would have been blamed on someone else. Admitting fault would have felt like a catastrophic threat to their sense of self. But with therapeutic support, they can learn that making a mistake doesn't make them a failure. It makes them human. You'll hear phrases like, "I was wrong," or "I'm sorry I hurt you," and it will be genuine, not just a tactic to end an argument. This newfound ability to be vulnerable is a powerful sign that the rigid defenses are softening. 2. Another area where we see significant change is in their emotional regulation. People with NPD often experience intense, volatile emotions, especially when they feel criticized or rejected, what's known as narcissistic injury. Their reaction can be explosive: anger or a complete emotional shutdown. Through therapies like dialectical behavior therapy or schema therapy, they can learn to identify their emotional triggers and develop healthier ways to cope. Instead of lashing out, they might learn to pause, breathe, and reflect on what they're feeling and why. This gives them a sense of control over their inner world that they never had before. This change doesn't happen overnight. It is a long, slow process that requires immense dedication and consistency. There will be setbacks, old habits are deeply ingrained, and under stress, it's easy to fall back into familiar patterns. The key is not to give up. Each time they choose a healthier response over an old, destructive one, they are strengthening a new neural pathway. It's like building a new road. At first, it's difficult and requires a lot of effort, but the more you use it, the easier it becomes to travel. So, how can you support this process if you're in a relationship with someone who is trying to change? Boundaries are your best friend. Clear, Consistent boundaries are not a punishment, they are a guide. They teach the person how a healthy relationship works. For example, you might say, "I am happy to talk about this when you can speak to me calmly, but I will not engage in a shouting match." This protects your own well-being, while also providing a clear structure for them. Professional help is also non-negotiable. A trained therapist can provide the tools and support that family and friends simply can't. Still, let's recap the signs of genuine change. We're looking for decreased manipulation and a move toward honest communication. We're looking for the development of real empathy, where they can genuinely consider and care about another person's feelings. We see this in their willingness to take accountability for their actions and apologize sincerely. We see it in their improved ability to manage their own emotions without lashing out or shutting down. These changes lead to much healthier, more stable relationships with family, partners, and friends. But remember, this change doesn't happen overnight. It is possible, but only with consistency. Narcissistic personality disorder doesn't have to define a person forever. Behind those defenses is often a person fighting to protect their wounded self. With structured support, healthy boundaries, emotional regulation skills, and professional therapy, growth is possible. Whether you're someone with NPD, someone who supports them, or just someone who wants to understand, remember this: awareness is the first step, consistency is the second step, healing is the journey. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next educational video.